And welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and this is Matthew. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a crazy couple weeks.
Yes, it has. So, I don't want anyone to freak out and wonder why we're not doing Punks on Film because we were supposed to do Goonies, but I know I was not prepared. As I mentioned, I was on the steroids and I was so out of it. And then Prime took Goonies away after I watched it once before I had time to do notes. And when I asked Matthew, he said, "Yeah, I'm not really ready yet." So we decided let's just do a live talk about whatever, and then I don't know. What are we doing?
Well, I mean, we can kind of start off like what we were doing before and just say, hey, what are you watching?
You know what I watched? I watched over the 3 steroid fueled days. um, what I watched One Piece on Netflix.
What'd you think?
Well, I don't watch anime, and the only reason why I even watched it was because my buddy Greg, who does all the 3D printing, I helped him move. He said I guess he's really into anime.
Mm-hmm.
He watched it and said it's really good. So I'm like, all right, and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I have no issues other than I think the kid's kind of annoying the way he acts, but I'm assuming that's how it is in the animation.
Yeah. So yeah, the manga has been going on for over 30 years, I think,
Okay.
and the anime has been going on almost as long. I think. I don't know. It's been like forever. And so this live action show, from what I understand, has been fairly faithful recreation. So I think that's pretty cool. I've never been into One Piece, but it's always been around.
Like I said, I have no idea like if the anime like if it's close to what the animation is supposed to be or the animated what. To me, it was very interesting. Like
Yeah,
the concept of it, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. The concept of it, where it's like they're pirates, but it's kind of like modern day, but not.
right.
Like they're in like old ships they would have in the 1800s and everything, but they're wearing like baseball caps and modern style clothes. They have electricity, neon lights, and everything, but they don't have like newer weapons, like newer guns and everything. So
Right.
I found it very interesting. And to watch 8 episodes, and like most of the episodes were actually over an hour long.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're chimsing you. I think the last episode was only like 50 minutes or 45 minutes, but all the other was like
Mm,
hour and five, hour and 1 minute. So a lot of fun though. Oh,
yeah.
so this was asked. I so crappy, pain, just because I had the crapper there. Like people finally started noticing the the portal potty in the back of the pictures. I really thought people would notice it earlier, um, and I thought more people, and it took forever for people to finally, for someone to point it out and notice. I'm like, I can't put it any more prominent in it unless I
Right.
have them actually shit inside of it.
Well, see, you need to have a Deadpool character, and he needs to be poking his head out of there.
It is hard. If you notice on the thumbnail that I made, I didn't make it look like the alley viper was holding himself and he had to go. But yeah, it did take people that long to take a look at it, or to happen to notice it. So quickly, okay, there was one thing that I didn't talk to you about, Matthew, that I did want to mention, and that is Mr. Wonderful Travis's Hexastack. The Kickstarter ends tonight. I do believe that he said he's pretty far away from from hitting
Yeah.
his goals. Um, but if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Um, do we have a link to it? I know I don't. Actually,
I
I know I
can
do.
pull one up pretty quick.
Yeah, if you can pull up a link, and everyone here has probably already looked at it, but maybe you haven't. Go ahead and check it out. Either way, he's still going to continue to push through it. So it is a great idea. Unfortunately, some Kickstarters don't work, you know, right off the bat. Valaverse has failed, and we see how it is, you know, see how he's doing now. So
Yeah. We've been watching the Ahsoka show, and we've been watching The Wheel of Time. I really enjoyed the books for Wheel of Time, so I am not really appreciating the TV show very much. My wife has not read the books, and she is mildly interested in the show. It's got some interesting concepts in it. And Ahsoka, you know, the last episode was pretty good, but it's amazing how much people praise mediocre when they've been fed poop on a cracker for so long.
So the last episode of Ahsoka was the best.
Yeah, for sure.
But I still, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone because I know there's a lot of people that are waiting to see it. I still was like, I thought the fight scenes were very, I mean, I wasn't that impressed by them. I'm also not impressed.
Let's think about this for just a second. If you take into account the fact that the two young apprentices were fighting, neither one of them is fully trained. Neither one of them is that good at fighting hand to hand or with the sabers like that yet. I thought the Ahsoka Rey duel was awesome because Ray Stevens is an amazing actor, and he's carrying this whole show with just his presence. He's the only one that has presence just from being there, in my opinion. And his acting chops were so perfect and subtle and engaging in this episode. I was like, we need more of him. So rest in peace, Ray Stevens. But I thought that was the best part of the entire episode.
I just for some odd reason, I mean, I love Rosario Dawson, right?
Yeah, me too.
Can I say it?
Yeah.
I just don't like her as Ahsoka, and I don't think she's bad. I think the problem is that the girl who should be playing it wanted to play it. She cosplays it awesome, and she is the original. And
yeah,
maybe this is awful because I just don't think she. I don't think when she's like fighting, she does a very believable job.
Yeah, I mean, I can get over some of that. I think it comes more to the writing and the direction that she's been given because I know what kind of an actress she is.
Yes.
And it seems like they're not letting her be that. They're not allowing her to emote. They're not allowing her to be who she is or the character.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know.
And the girl playing Sabine, I really don't like her at all. I really do hope she goes Dark Jedi or something. I think that might be moderately interesting.
Yeah. Like I don't want to say ruin it, but like I make someone who is a known character in the universe change.
Yeah.
You know, like make that flip. Do something different that will shock people, that people will go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. Because honestly, Anakin turning to the dark side, we already knew it. You know? So there is no surprise to that. Kylo Ren.
But remember, they did a complete character flip on Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, and look how that turned out.
Yeah. I don't know, like to me, it is a disappointing show. It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's not really good either. You know, honestly, the two best Star Wars things that have been made, I think, are Andor and Rogue One. I mean, those are the two that I've enjoyed that Disney's made.
I think Andor is really good. Again, no Jedi.
Yep.
Again, like you and I talked about it. I want to say something about some of these people in a minute, but I think it was actually Screen Crush or Heavy Spoilers that, you know, we talked about, like, oh yeah, Yoda really was saying there are many more Jedi. Not just, you know, they kind of did the same thing of like, yeah, all the Jedi died except for
except for all of them.
Yes. So
Order
I'm watching
66
it.
killed a dozen Jedi. That's it. A dozen Jedi died on Order 66.
Yeah, the other thing that I think that's happening is that, um, you know, with this, you are waiting to see them get to Ezra, get to throw like there is this end game that we want to see. We're like in the Mandalorian, we really didn't know where it was going.
Yeah.
Um,
But here's the problem. The very last episode is going to have Thrawn come in there and say, well, hello. And then we're going to have to wait until Dave Filoni makes his movie to see Thrawn doing anything.
yes.
It's the way all these things are set up, because every single one of the Disney Plus TV shows starts and ends and nothing happens. If you watch the first episode and the last episode, you realize that nothing took place in between.
You are very critical though of things.
Well, I did study film a little bit.
I mean, I do get what you're saying. I
understand it's the journey, it's the character growth and stuff, but they haven't had any character growth. The characters don't change from the beginning to the end, and that's my biggest criticism of it. Is it doesn't change anything. And the problem with Ahsoka, the biggest problem with Ahsoka, is that people who have never watched Clone Wars and Rebels have no idea what's going on because they didn't explain it. They didn't take the time to set anything up. They could have taken half an episode or an episode to kind of set the tone for the world and made live action recreations of some of the points in Rebels so that we would understand where these characters are and who they are. Because other than that, nobody knows who they are. We're expected to have this other knowledge.
I see what you're saying there. But again, like that's how Feige said, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, you got to watch all the Marvel stuff to know what's going on. And it sucks in some ways, but if you're like me, where I'm watching all the Marvel stuff, it doesn't really matter. I know what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's why Feige failed ultimately, because when he wasn't fully in charge, when it was Jon Favreau and some of the other independent guys that were making this stuff and they were telling their stories, they told their stories. They didn't mean it to connect, and that's DC's biggest problem, is that they're trying to make it connect before they've told a decent story.
Wow.
And so they had this wonderful foundation that they built up, and then it crumbled later. But they built this wonderful thing up to a point, and then after that, there was nothing else that was engaging very much.
That makes sense. So what I do want to say, so we do this. We try and do Punks on Film every other week, where we just talk about one movie. We don't even really break it down that much. I want to say to guys like Heavy Spoilers, Screen Crush is my favorite, but those types of, and I understand it is their job now. That's how they make their money. I want to say that those guys will do 1 or 2 videos breaking down a whole entire episode that hasn't been seen before. And as exhausting as it is for me to take notes, get screenshots, I can't imagine how much work goes into doing that to get an episode done in one day.
Yeah.
And then hey, you know what? There's another TV show that they're talking about that they're breaking down. It absolutely blows my mind. So
yeah,
it's so much work. It really is. So, but yeah. So I did finish watching
One Piece.
When I saw One Piece.
Okay.
No. No, I don't. I haven't seen the second season. No, I don't have Apple TV. But the first season was amazing.
Yeah, I need to get on that, and I need to watch that. My wife has no interest in watching it, so that's my biggest drawback for me watching it.
It's written so well. I mean, that show was written so well. Jack Ryan, the final season of Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, was really left with a cliffhanger. I don't care what anyone says. It was left with a cliffhanger. They can say it's the last season. That show was really good. I mean, I know some people kind of complain, and people are going to complain about everything. There's people complaining about this beautiful piece behind me here. You like my lead-in for this? Like,
there you go.
I dropped that video lead-in.
Well, I think it looks great. I had to cancel mine, but good luck to everybody else.
I can break it because I have another one sitting over there in the box. Hopefully it's not broken inside of it. But like the gun actually articulates and moves. Again, I don't know why you'd be moving this and not just the whole flight pod.
Right.
But it does sit nice. And
well, see, there's this little technique that the F4s did in Vietnam. They would go down and they would do a strafing run, and they would just hit the rudder pedals and fire the machine guns on rows of people, just going like that. Maybe that's what it is.
I want to say hi to, let's just hi to the chat. Mike Ventura, Renegade Biker, how you doing? Well, let's say hi to the chat since we really did not, and we are way behind. So PNC was in right away. Channel member, thank you very much.
Jim Largo stopped by also.
Yeah. Shark Eyes is here.
Yeah.
Largo's Lair. Payne's Toy Sample, which I know we already mentioned. Anthony Romo, who may have a picture put in here that he sent me earlier today. Mr. Wonderful. DJ Fevish.
There we go.
And then we have Allison, another wonderful channel member. Wade Howlett is here, right? Did I say right?
Howlettson.
Howlettson. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I say Howlett because I hear, Logan.
Every time I see that, I think of Wolverine's original name in the origin story.
Yeah. Viper Scout, Bullwinkle 80, Ted Darklaw from Hella Dope Toys with his 500 subscribers.
Yeah. All right.
Finally got monetized. Now they have to go through all the work and do all those little things. And then at 1,000, you can get the true monetization again. Just making it more big. Say hi to Big Rib. Now, what is that?
This is the Fury Planet veteran William. He's awesome. He's got 3 different heads, knives, shotgun shells. You can take the jacket off, swap out the arms so that he can be totally bare with the big werewolf thing and everything. He is truly an amazing figure. He's definitely on my top 10 of the year, probably top figure of the year. So he's got so many swappable parts. He's very customizable for how you want him to look, like a regular werewolf or like a guy wearing werewolf wearing jeans, or the jacket and everything. It's pretty cool.
Now, how come I have not seen Ed Action Figs? I haven't seen him have that yet. He's all into that type of stuff.
I was going to say, I was a little disappointed to not see him have that yet, but
he's not even in the
chat. My pictures.
Yeah, so I got the Trouble Bubble in, and my other figures that I'm waiting on from Taiwan. I had the call, and supposedly they just made it to customs in Chicago today. Now, they shipped the day after the other ones did, and as you can see, all those reviews have been done. They've come, they've gone. And I don't live in Chicago or Illinois, so I probably won't have them probably till Monday or Tuesday, which by then, who knows what Hasbro Pulse will be sending me. Because this thing charged shipping notification yesterday, and it arrived today, and I'm like, there is no way that it's showing up, and I'm like... And it was at my doorstep before noon. Crazy.
What was that one from Hasbro?
Yeah, it's from Hasbro Pulse, man.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. So
now if you are distribution center down the block from you, you need to find that distribution center.
Well, this one came out of Iowa, I think.
Mm.
I did talk to Bees Battleground, and he's still waiting on his. And he's like, yeah, they used to always come out of Pittsburgh. I wish this still came out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right.
Like I wish. I'm sure you do.
All right. Here's a question for you. In my opinion, yes, it's not that expensive, and I get free shipping, and I get enough stuff from them that it's worth it, especially because they don't group orders together. They ship everything out when they get it. And so if you're paying shipping every time they ship something out and they ship one item at a time from your entire list of things, yeah, that's going to ding pretty hard. So, yes, I think it's worth it.
Here's the other reason why it is worth it. Now, if you're going to be like me and you're going to listen, I was trying to get stuff from overseas or from Canada, like CMD store and stuff, because I'm trying to get the reviews done. So I'm trying to get it first. All right. But I did want it early.
What? You got to be the first. The first is the only one that counts.
So there's two ways to look at it. If you're only a G.I. Joe fan, then some people say it's not worth it. Because I'm like, well, all the stuff that you can order, anything from Star Wars, Marvel, Power Rangers, Transformers, you get free shipping. But the reason why it's worth it right now, if you're all in on the G.I. Joe line, is Pulse has so many exclusives.
It's not just that. Well, they do, right. But also, if you are a Pulse Premium member, you get to purchase these items an hour earlier before they go up to the public.
Yes,
and so you have a greater chance of actually getting them if you're on the ball and paying attention.
That's why you peasants never get them. But in all honesty, but just the Hasbro Pulse, you got to think. So the exclusives being Snow Job, the Valkyries, and the Trouble Bubble. If you ordered all of them, there's probably $30 in shipping right there.
Yep.
So let's say you want these Hasbro flight stands, which I think are absolutely wonderful. I mean, I know
pretty good.
I know the one guy from the Marvel team totally shows on them.
Yeah.
But they're great. $15 for 3 of these. You're not going to pay shipping and handling.
So I got my first one of those. I got my first one of those from a deluxe Black Widow figure that I got on clearance. So it was awesome. And I got the stand with it. I'm like, yeah, this stand's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like, so flight stand, Trouble Bubble, you're going to probably need some sticky tack, but it's going to stay up like that. So I think they need to figure out a way to do some stands. They missed the mark on not creating a stand for this to go along with Serpento's Air Chariot.
Yeah, well, okay, I agree. You know what else they could have done, especially on the Trouble Bubble, is they could have made a blast effect like they did for MODOK.
What? I'm trying to think what MODOK had.
So MODOK has the big gas blaster thing that sticks up his butt that has him in a stand in a little jet propulsion thing. They could have done that easy for the Trouble Bubble.
They could have. The issue is how this is, and since this does come off, that
so you know what they did for the Deluxe War Machine. All right, so they had 2 jet thrusters that come off of his feet, and you could have the thrusters going like that with the flame out the bottom. And they also had the smoke effect that you could plug them into that were the actual stands. So they had like each leg was in one of those stands, so it had the thrust and the everything that came out, which was also really cool. Which I may do that if I ever get one of those.
But we do want to keep it at $55. I don't need it to be $70.
They own the license. They could make that $55.
I know they could. They could do a lot. Honestly, I mean, I know people, think that it's lame to have that premium membership to pay for, but
I think it's worth it.
You get free shipping. If it was just to get early access, then I'd be like, yeah, you're ripping people off. But
yeah, they're starting to hit stores. So before they go on clearance. At Ollie's. But no, pick them up where you can get them. They're coming in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how often you shop at Walmart, like going toy shopping, but if you ever see when those things come in, those things are just stacked. Like they're just boxes upon boxes. They don't care. You know,
Yep.
Target
Not at
definitely
all.
seems to take better care of their stuff. You know, Walmart just wheels their stuff out and they just leave it like that, and that's it. Like, all right, you know what? Here you go. Um,
DJ, I haven't had an issue with anything coming from Hasbro being messed up. Well, one item I did have messed up, but they fixed it for me. They sent me another one. But for the most part, they do pretty well with their packing and shipping. Yeah, Viper Scout like that. The Boba Fett effects. You know, there's all kinds of other effects that if you have them out there, that you can put them in there, and I think they'll work. You can use it. I don't like that stuff.
I love the stuff. It came wrapped in these.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that because that's what messed up my classified box that they sent me another one for.
Oh, they were both wrapped in these, and
yeah,
I love that stuff. I think it's something different, and
yeah.
I mean, I don't care about different, but I think it protects stuff pretty well. So, when it becomes damaged, aren't you going to open it up and play with it? And
well, that's why I didn't care. I just mentioned the fact that they sent a messed up box and they sent me another one for free. I'm like, oh, great. So I can sell that one.
I was talking about DJ, like.
The item won't be damaged, I don't think. So.
Snow Serpent and Snow Job come back on sale, as well as the Flight Pod. Well, Snow Serpent you can get anywhere. BBTS has them right now, from what I understand.
Yes.
Entertainment Earth. Loot. You can also use my code to get 10% off the moment they come in. So I should have it somewhere, but I don't. I actually have it somewhere, I bet. But yeah, like all that type of stuff there. Look at this on the ticker. Use that on EE Entertainment Earth, and you get 10% off everything.
Here we go.
Yeah, no, I know Hella Dope Toys. They're gonna have them. Snow Job, on the other hand, yeah, that
one looks like it's getting ready to ship, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
But he's asking if they're going to come back in stock, because now everyone's seeing that they're out of stock. Because
I think they will. I think they're going to do another run of Valkyries and Snow Job because there's still people asking about them. People that are getting these Valkyries in hand are seeing how awesome they are because they are really cool figures. Even in you can repaint some parts of them or whatever, but the articulation is great. The figures are built really well. So I think more people are going to want those Valkyries.
I can't imagine that they wouldn't. I mean, again, here's the other thing that people have to think of. Like, they did all the pre-order, and they know how many units they're already going to have, and they didn't sell out. So you have Hasbro telling G.I. Joe, like the brand, hey, you know what? You're not selling out of them. We're not going to let you order more. And then the moment it hits, it all of a sudden they all sell out because now everyone wants them. So now they have to go back to the factory and say, hey, more people want these.
I think you're right, Viper Scout. I think there's always extra stock that they hold in reserve for things like repairs, damaged items, things like that they always have. But that's why they had 4 releases of Deluxe Snake Eyes. That's why they had 4 releases of Snake Supreme Cobra Commander. Is because, they sold out at the time. They said they sold out, but they always had a little more reserve just in case there were damages or problems in shipping or whatever. And then they finally get rid of them. So there's always a little extra stock.
Yeah. And, like PNC said, like, I was impressed with the Valkyries.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, we've seen the arm issues. My buddy, he had an arm that fell right off. Same as with my cover girl. So the females do have some issues with some weak arms. There is no doubt that they need to fix that. But for the most part,
all of their ladies have had somewhat of that issue.
Yeah.
The issue I had was the deformed hand. Her fingers weren't completely formed on her right hand on one of mine. So I did have a little defect there, but other than that, they're really good.
Now, was that just one of them, or was it?
Yeah,
both of
no,
them?
it was just the one.
Okay. Yeah, and again, like I know a lot of people, and I see it like, and I hate having to like compare these two, but there was a guy on one of the Valiverse sites that, basically said he was so upset over the female Valkyrie having an arm issue that he's almost ready to be done with classified because of the QC issues and just go all in on Valkyries. And I said, hey, you know what? Are you just going to ignore the issues with Valiverse and their QC issues? Now, don't get me wrong. One is a billion-dollar company,
right,
that has too many QC issues, in my opinion. And the other one is a guy that, yes, he does address them, but he still does have a lot of QC issues. The other thing, and I know this is not me shilling to them, and I know people think that. This is just an honest opinion. They are a billion-dollar company producing so many more units. You're going to have more defects and more that slip through the cracks. It's easier to say that a billion-dollar company shouldn't have the problem, but in actuality, if you're making a smaller amount of units, it's easier to actually watch what you're doing and making sure there's less QC issues. Now, someone like Super 7 should have less, but they don't care.
Super 7 should have a lot less. And the difference being that Bobby Vala addresses most of the QC issues when they come up, and he talks about them and says, what he's doing to fix them and everything. Yes, Viper Scout, we saw your comment. Please don't try and spam it. We did see it. Yes, the link may continue to work for a little while. I don't know if Amazon still has them or not, but if you use that link, you might still be able to order some eels. I don't know how well they're doing with that, but yeah.
There's going to be more eels. I mean, if you watch Return of the Nerd, he just got like 200 eels in, or 300 eels. Like, there's going to be more.
So, Sean, I think I might have gotten your extra knife. Was it the tan-handled one? Because I think I got 2 tan-handled ones in mine because their knife consistency has been off on the Valkyries. So I have noticed that. Some of them come with 3, some of them come with 2.
Good news though. If it's the black one and you're getting a snow serpent, he comes with a knife but has no sheath. You can't make this shit up. Like,
I know Viper Scout. I know you're not trying to spam. No worries. I just saw it on there twice, and it was almost the same comment. But yeah, no, it's okay. We got you, brother.
No, if you watch, if you subscribe to Fuller Figures, you should. I'm gonna be on his show in a couple weeks. He did a review of the snow serpent, and he was funny because he's like trying to put the knife in anywhere,
right?
And he put it up in his chest, and he's like, hopefully he doesn't have to bend over to knock any snow off his shoe or anything.
All right, Ryan Srini, that made me laugh.
Are they unopened though?
Right. Funny enough, I had
Ryan. Again.
Yeah, we know.
They're going to be all over.
we get the joke. I did have one QC issue with one of my eels. The breather cord wasn't fully formed.
That's odd
on one side, and it's a weird one. So
that's odd. Like that, like you showed me that, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense.
Well, it's actually the same exact problem that happened with the Valkyrie. Is that the injection mold didn't fully get filled, so that factory isn't completely filling the molds, or they're trying to go so fast that they're missing some things sometimes, because basically the last part of her fingers were all gone on the Valkyrie, and the last part of that one tube was gone on the eel. So both of those are definitely mold injection issues.
And I saw someone that had an issue with the arm on the eel where it almost was like melted.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually someone had posted one, and it was almost like it was like the arms and the waist were all like kind of melted down the middle. But it wasn't, it wasn't one of those posts where you're like, dude, you did that on your own. I can tell. It just like looked like that's how it came out of the factory. And again, I'm not going to make excuses for Hasbro's QC issues because they've just had too many, unfortunately. But yeah, it's been
lately they've had a lot more than normal, at least in the classified line. There's always been QC issues.
Yeah, well, it seems like they hit this big. They hit a big
DJ. I think she might have been part of the Yakuza, and she failed that many times, and just had all of them kind of trimmed a little bit.
Yeah, it's let's see. Ryan has his finger. I think Ryan has a little inside source. I mean, I don't know this for sure, but some of the things he throws out there. The issue Hasbro needs to resolve is that the Joes were moved to a different factory, so that the best seller of all time starting lineup could get the Prime factory. Well, what some of those starting lineups
is not doing so well. I think they just sold it off to McFarlane. I think McFarlane's going to make starting lineup again.
Well, he went after the NHL players.
Well, yeah, he did. Yeah.
Again, I that whole starting lineup thing, what a disaster.
That was a total joke. I didn't understand that at all. I was like, you're going to charge that much and you're going to put an NFT in there, and what? Nobody wants NFTs, don't you know? That's cancer. Sean, I don't disagree. I do like the eel flippers better than torpedoes, and the black and red looks better on the eel. I think that's just truth.
The problem is I will army build eels, not torpedoes.
Why not? Because you can put every single Joe head on a torpedo body, and then they all have their wetsuits, so they can all go on a mission together.
Yes, and they all have the exact same body. They all have the
exact same body. Oh, there's sticky tack. You can work that out. Can you imagine Roadblock? In one of those tiny little wetsuits. That wetsuit just makes him shrink that much.
And here from my favorite toy store, starting lineup is about as popular as Sequest figures.
Oh,
I think I'd rather have Sequest.
Sequest was awesome. I loved Sequest.
So again, this is what I said when starting lineup came out. They made a mistake of not going with Hall of Famers to start with. They went with this current players. Like, why do I want a current player that may not be on that team by the end of the season, or isn't going to play? Give me Isaiah Thomas for the Pistons, Michael Jordan from the Bulls, Magic Johnson. Like, we know where they played. We know that they're not coming back. Having current players, I guess it would make sense if you were already down the line and it was successful, but not to start off. They should have just went right to Hall of Famers. And
why do you think G.I. Joe starts with Snake Eyes? They go with the most popular figures. Get people to buy in. Get them interested.
It's not rocket science, right? I mean,
no, it's not.
People get mad that there's a new Wolverine every week. There is a reason why McFarlane puts out a new Batman right now during the live stream, because he knows it's going to sell somehow.
Yeah. Absolutely agree, Viper Scout. As soon as the price tag and the NFT thing turned everybody off, so as soon as the pre-orders went up, people were like, "Nah, I'm out with that," because the figures that people wanted, Mafex made, and they weren't that much more expensive, and they were much better quality. Even back then, Mafex was making better basketball players and well, I don't know if they did baseball, but they did some basketball players that were really good.
And why don't you start with football? It is the biggest sport.
Well, I mean, that only appeals to Americans, right? Not everybody watches football.
Like I said, why don't you start with football? Again, football, college football, like you put a Michigan player out there, Michigan fans are going to buy it. You put an Alabama fan of, you put an Alabama figure out there, people are going to buy it. You put an Ohio State figure out, they will put on layaway and eventually pay for it. Because they don't have jobs. So Ohio State. Anyway.
Todd, hey, thanks for joining us, Todd. We don't know that they switched factories, but we know that they use a lot of factories, and it may have been a new one. I don't know, but we don't know that they switched factories for anything in particular.
What is shocking? I mean, what is shocking? It's like you would assume like Chrysler, like they have different factories for each car, but they shouldn't have like, hey, well, you know what? The Dodge Ram, the Ram, it's not a Dodge Ram anymore, it's just the Ram. Since that's one of our highest profile vehicles, we got to make sure that one's made really well. But the Journey, not that big of a deal. You can have some issues. Like, wouldn't you want all your factories be putting out the best product possible?
Right.
But, just my opinion.
Mike, well, I appreciate the statement. It's just not physically or financially possible for that to happen. I know a comic book creator right now who is very invested in making everything here in stateside, and he does all of his publishing and everything out of here in Dallas, where I live. And he's looking at toy companies, and he talked to Bobby Valla about making action figures for his comic book line. And Bobby's like, it's not feasible for me not to do it in China, because if you want me to do it outside of China, there are no factories outside of China that can produce the quality that you would need. It will take at least a decade for anybody outside of China to develop the skills and techniques to create a factory that will be able to make the quality of material that they're making out of China right now. And the cost, if we did it here in America, would be so outrageous that $25 figure would be $125. But yeah, that's unfortunately the economics the way it is.
Yeah, I live here in Michigan. We have a lot of factories, a lot of plastic factories that do work for not just the big three, but all the auto industries, Toyota, and all of them. And they have the ability to do it, but you're not going to shift. You're not going to be a plastic factory, plastic mold injection, and be like, oh, you know what? We're going to start making action figures because someone wants us to, rather than making seatbelt buckles and, door latches and different things like that, because it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it would be wonderful if more products were made here. There's no doubt about it. But I've often thought one of the biggest skateboard companies of all time, one of the biggest, there's only so many wood shops, but one of the biggest ones, they're made over in China too, I believe. I know they're made in Asia. I think it's China. Here's what doesn't make any sense to me. They cut down the trees here in the Great Lakes. They ship them over there, do all their woodwork, and then they ship them back. And it's like, well, you don't think that you could just have a factory here, since it's obviously you don't have to ship them all the way across an ocean and then ship everything back. But that's what they do. And even like a lot of the other skateboard, one of the other big skateboard wood shops, they moved out of California just over the border to Mexico because they can make it so much cheaper there.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I mean, we can talk about,
yeah, it's going to get into politics and stuff that we probably don't need to, but there's economics is economics, and that's just the way it is currently. To build the infrastructure to do those types of things will take a decade. To do it anywhere outside of where it's currently being done.
And that's another thing that people don't realize is how long it takes the infrastructure. How long did it take the foreign car industries to get factories over here to make good, reliable cars so they could say, hey, we make cars here in America too.
Right.
They did it for years. That was the one thing that the American car companies had once they started finally doing it, but it took decades for them to do it. Now you're talking about a toy manufacturer, and it sounds good because, yeah, Hasbro has the money, Mattel has the money,
right?
but they also want to keep the money, and they have to
Right.
appease their, they have to,
because
you know,
because they're corporations, they have to appease the shareholders, and
yes.
they're beholden to the shareholders, and the shareholders always want their dividends.
Yeah.
Is that why they can't control the leaks? Yeah, to a degree, because they're coming straight off the factory, and some of them fall right off the factory truck right after they're made.
Yeah.
Or they get to the distribution centers faster there because they're right next to the factory.
Okay. Where did you see the leaks at here?
There you go.
Todd C. So understand this. All these Hasbro leaks, Todd. Are you gonna come up or not? I think all these Hasbro leaks. Listen. Island has proven to us that they were all wrong. The Bat leak, wrong. The Alley Viper leak, wrong. Like, you don't see them on my desk at all. All those head leaks.
That Serpentor leak, that was totally wrong.
Like, it was fake news. And no, this is not political. This is not political. No, I mean that's exactly it. Like, stuff gets dumped and someone finds it, and we live in this global universe now that everyone has a phone here and can just get on the internet. I talk about the kids of skateboarding nowadays. It's like we were learning tricks from watching videos that were probably over a year old. So we're learning these tricks, and these guys have already advanced. Now it's like someone in Iowa in a cornfield can be doing the latest skateboard trick, and it's right there on his phone, and it's uploaded to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and everything, and everyone's seeing it.
Yep. Sean, I totally agree. This is why they do the name-only reveals, because they're like, hey, they're going to get out. And ultimately, it was also because people checked store scanners because they work there, and they can check inventory about projected inventory that's going to come in, and they see the names of things. And so that's why they gave them code names, is that so people wouldn't be immediately say, oh, that's what it is. But that's why they started doing that. And that's why they started trying to get ahead of it with the early renders and that kind of stuff, because people were going to find out anyway.
Yeah. And the stuff like the stores, like, that is why we found out about the Mindbender Trouble Bubble Target exclusive so early on.
Yep. The Mindbender Trouble Bubble exclusive?
Yes. Don't you remember? That was it was confirmed. Target exclusive. How did we end up back here again? Like, if you don't know what we're talking about, I apologize.
I can't let it go. I made a comment on one of his videos one time, and he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you're so full of shit. I'm done. I'm done with you.
I'm sorry. Listen, again, if you don't know what we're talking about or who we're talking about, one day you will come along. You might think he knows what he's talking about, and one day you can be like, this guy is so full of shit. Is this the guy Chaz has been railing on for... Well, although you can't see any Chaz's memes anymore because he got them all removed.
Yeah, right. Jim, to a degree, but here's the thing about corporations. They control all of the information, or they think they do. They want to control all of the information, and they don't want it to be revealed until it's ready to be shown. They have certain parameters that they want information to get out to the public about how it's going to look and all this other stuff. So they have to have something to present. If they don't feel it's presentable, then they don't want it known about just yet, because they're batting around ideas for 3 years from now, right now in the office, that they don't want anybody to know about, because they don't want people speculating or trying to influence what they're going to create. You guys are
breaking
great.
news.
I love the chat.
Listen, I know people said I shouldn't give him, and I just poke people or send people over to his. But I think anyone's watching us, they pretty much know. Like, I still wonder who the hell's watching his. I know we're off topic here. I don't know who the hell's watching it. We know everyone that's in the Joe community. There's no one that everyone knows that he's full of shit. So who the hell is watching it? Oh, wait a minute. Bot subscribers.
Well, it's not just bot subscribers. I think there are legitimate people out there listening to him because, like I said, when I was at the DFW toy show, there was a dude legitimately wearing one of his T-shirts that he stole. And I was floored because I was like, really? I almost wanted to talk to the guy about the T-shirt alone. But he started talking to Mark II Designs about some other stuff. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to go there. This guy's weird.
Listen, so here's the whole thing. I think we're going to get all kinds of different iterations of G.I. Joe in the classified line.
I don't have a problem. I really hope so. No, I don't either. I want them to present, the things that people want to have, but I also want them to dig deep into the weirdest stuff that they can come up with. I want them to come up with new stuff,
Yes. And you can tell they're trying to, but every time they do a new figure, what happens? People throw a damn fit about it.
Yeah.
Who in the community that knows anything, though, Ryan? That's the biggest thing. No one that actually knows anything. That's my thing. I mean, again, God, I can't believe the guy has any type of.
Anyway. I don't know. I don't get that either.
But anytime that I've already seen people complaining about Shooter, and it's like, give me what are you talking about?
Well, there's a lot of people that don't pay much attention to G.I. Joe. They just remember the vague memories of what they had as a kid watching the cartoon or whatever. They're not as deep into the lore as like I am or you are.
And that's perfectly fine. But the fact that it's kind of like, why would you get upset over them? Even let's say you don't know that Shooter is an actual character,
right?
Or Wolf Spider. Like, what does it matter? They created a new one. By creating Wolf Spider or Shooter doesn't mean they can't give us Leatherneck, right?
Yeah.
And I know people have an issue like, why haven't we got the first 13? Why haven't they given us all the Dreadnoks? Well,
I'll tell you why they haven't given me the first 13, because the first 13, for the most part, are boring as shit. I love them. They're some of my favorites, but they're boring as shit.
Why do you love them?
Most people who collect G.I. Joe, who watch the cartoon, aren't going to remember those original 13. They're going to remember stuff from the 85, 86 time frame. And so they've been throwing in those Joes as well.
And why do you love them? Because you were what?
Well, because I had them all as a kid.
As a kid. But if those figures came out now, you'd be like, wow, these are just repaints.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest disappointment with Classified was the fact that it took them so darn long to bring Stalker out. We had 3 versions of Roadblock before we had Stalker. And I was like, what the hell, guys? Come on.
I am with you 100%.
But I do believe they did a phenomenal job with the Classified Stalker figure. I really do like that figure.
I don't know how anyone complains. I know people said he seems a little too old. I'm like, that face sculpt is awesome.
No,
it's amazing.
Yeah, I really appreciate it for sure. Yes, Lenny's already working on 2025.
And Ryan is clearly in Lenny's office right now, so I should probably message Lenny and let him know that there's someone in his office.
Hey, do you know this Ryan guy? Is he in your office, or do you know his friends? Because he knows some stuff.
Like Lenny, are you actively working on the Dreadnoks? Yeah. Well, but Dreadnok Ryan, are you actually working on a Dreadnok Ryan who's a living creature in your office?
They are forbidden to do real people anymore. I saw the dumbest thing the other day. Oh man, this made me laugh so hard. Somebody who I won't name talked about the new Tunnel Rat figure being an homage to a younger Larry Hama. And I'm like, the classified figure? No, the classified figure is designed off of the original toy to a degree. The face sculpt for the original Tunnel Rat was based off of Larry Hama. The current one cannot be based off of Larry Hama. It can be based off of the previous toy to a degree or whatever. But he was trying to say, this is supposedly based off of younger Larry Hama, but I just don't see it. I'm like, dude, come on. They can't do it. They've said they can't do it.
So I don't believe this has anything to do with the budget that they're given. This is an issue across Hasbro lines. Star Wars, Legends, classified. That's an issue with Hasbro. That's not an issue with the budgets, in my opinion.
It's neither actually. I don't think it's either actually. I think it has to do with the age stamp that they put on the box.
Well, I agree with that too.
So the age stamp they put on classified figures is far lower than it should be. And for that reason, that's why they have to use softer plastics. They have to, as per some government regulations that we have in place. If they up the age of the classified figures to 12 to 14 or something like that, or made it a collector's item like NECA does, they could use a stiffer plastic for a lot of their stuff. So it's not necessarily budgetary.
I tend to agree with that, but again, like this came with the Viper 3-pack, and it's perfectly fine. It's hard, but it's not, again, like NECA, Valaverse, Mythic Legions. Like you can puncture skin with those knives. First off, a NECA, like you try and plug in a NECA weapon on any of the figures, and if you're not wearing gloves, you're probably going to have hurt hands. Especially
if you pick up a Mezco, a Mezco that has a blade on it, you better be careful because those suckers are sharp too.
Yeah.
My Moon Knight figure has this staff weapon, and his nunchuck weapons or whatever have little spikes on the end. Those things are sharp as hell.
Yeah, and so like again, I am with you. The age stamp should be, because these are adult collectors. The problem
I totally
is,
agree.
Again, you're talking about a corporation, and a corporation that has to appease to their shareholders, and it sucks because, again, Bobby Valley can do whatever he wants because it's his company. Mythic Legions, they can do whatever they want. And
they all sell direct market. They all sell direct market, so they don't have to put age stamps on it. And Viper Scouts also exactly right, is that Walmart and Target won't carry the toys if they have too high. They have to move them to the NECA section, and that's a much smaller section and a much smaller quantity that they can put on the shelves.
Hold on, people have said that, but hold on. I'm not sure if that's true because see, I've heard that. I think that's more of a Hasbro thing. Okay. And the reason why I say that is McFarlane is 12 plus. And I can't walk through an aisle and not hit numerous ones of these.
So I see what you're saying, because so they could up it to the 12 plus. I think they could do that. But if they make it the adult collector thing or something like that, then it would be relegated over to the NECA section. Yeah.
And again, we're not asking for blades that are going to cut. I just want a weapon that's going to be straight. And hell, I would even be okay with the weapon being slightly warped. That if I warmed it up and then bent it and cooled it and it stayed there. The problem is like these weapons that came with the Valkyries, they're flimsy. I mean, they stay straight.
I'm going to go get something real quick. I got to show you this. This is hilarious.
When you put too much pressure on them, like in a pose, they start to bend. The same happens with Gridiron, except for Gridiron doesn't bend right away. So
Yeah. The
So Ryan says, any toy 4 and up has to meet standards for selling at retail. As a manufacturer, you want to be in the toy aisle rather than collect aisle so you can get more peg space, and retailers want kids' toys. Yes.
you know what this is right here? This is
I
one of
do.
my Eels spear guns. Yeah, this is one of my Eels spear guns. One of them came in just like this.
That is an eel boomerang gun. So it's coming back.
It shoots around corners. It's the around the corner gun.
Well, that's what someone had said on I think on my torpedo that it's a new SEAL weapon that shoots around corners.
Right.
So here's something. So this is funny, so in the TV show Jack Ryan, they end up, oddly enough, stranded in a place right next to Taiwan while I'm waiting for my figures, and I'm like, can they just pick them up for me and bring them? And they're in this little town or whatever you would call it, right? And they're trying to negotiate some stuff, and the guy he tells them how much he needs for something. He's like, "What is it? $1 million for that harpoon gun or for that spear gun?" And Jack Ryan kind of rolls his eyes, and he's like, "I don't even know. I don't even want to know what you're gonna do with that." And you actually see them use the spear gun, and I'm like, "All right, so it can be used."
Oh, you guys are great. I love the chat.
Largo says,
always awesome.
Fortunately, all of Valve's weapons packs work great for replacing Joe Bendy weapons. I am with you. My biggest issue is,
especially for the price tag. The price tag for his weapons are good.
I should have to change my weapons if I don't want to.
Yeah,
I love the fact that I have the option to get the Valve weapons, the Action Force weapons, and change them out. But I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to change out any weapon. No, I have no issues with how the weapons look. And I understand they don't look like actual, they don't all look exactly like, AR-15s and, saws and everything like that. But I'm okay with them looking enough realistic. But I should have to change it. And I think everyone would agree with that. It's great to have that option. But here we are like, you know what Hasbro needs to give us? Weapons packs. Why? So they're all super soft? I can buy a whole bunch of rubber and, for my own weapon. But I mean, I can tell you.
The detail on the Valve weapons, I really appreciate. I really like the Valve weapons, but you're right. I shouldn't have to replace my Joe weapons with them. And it sucks that these current waves kind of need it.
So this here, Deadpool, again, not classified. This weapon here, all right, might as well be a fucking rubber band. All right. I mean, it just completely flexes back and forth. Now, it pretty much comes back to where it's supposed to be, but this is how all the classified weapons seem to be going. So it's not a G.I. Joe thing. It is a Hasbro problem.
Yeah.
I just think it's one that doesn't need to be. I think most of us would agree with that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
And the fact that they don't cross over weapons or any accessories, not blast effects, nothing like that. Everything has to be. So like Star Wars.
But you know what's really funny to me is that there are a couple blast effects, like the smoke effect. I mean, they're almost identical to the Marvel Legends ones. It's funny that they don't, because it seems like that it would be. The blast effects it would make sense if they could.
So the blast effects that come with that new Black Widow, which is an amazing figure.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I know in my review, someone made a comment when I was comparing it to the classified and other lines, and he said that I can't because it's a Marvel Legends, and I was like, oh, actually, they're the ones that compared it to imports. But I'm like, Because he
Right.
said you kind of seem like you're a hater. Like, I really like this figure. I don't know how you get it. Like, it seems like I'm a hater. I think this figure is absolutely wonderful. But the smoke effects on that don't fit inside of classified weapons. They're just too
Right.
big.
Yep.
And her gun is stupid.
Well, so they didn't give her the sniper rifle
yeah.
they gave her with the deluxe, and I wish that they did because I love that rifle. And a matter of fact, I gave it to the Baroness when I first got her to pose her with some sniper rifle shots, which she can actually get into with single jointed elbows. Just saying.
Are you talking about the sniper rifle from Valiverse?
No, I was talking about the sniper rifle that came with the Black Widow deluxe figure from Marvel Legends that came with the stand and the blast effects and the explosions and all that kind of stuff. It was a really good weapons package. Not the
Okay,
super articulated one,
super
which
articulated one.
she's awesome too. I mean, the figure is amazing, and I love all the accessories that came with her. She's a great figure.
And those heads. I mean, I used one head for Scarlet. The other head I put on one of the Valkyries.
And then the other one you put on CoverGirl.
I don't have a problem with the CoverGirl. She says a strong.
No, I don't either. I don't have a problem.
It does not look as good as the digital
figure I've ever had a problem with is Falcon.
I agree. I mean, I don't think the CoverGirl it doesn't look as good as the digital render, but it is what it looks like that they showed us when we ordered it. So I don't have a problem with it, but I'm with you.
Either.
The only I hate when people say like, oh, they've done so many bad face sculpts. It's like they've done one bad face sculpt.
I heard somebody trashing. Oh well, okay. The same person I was talking about earlier. They were trashing the Cobra Island Firefly head sculpt, and I'm like, that is a freaking cool ass head sculpt. I mean, you can tell he's scarred and mangled underneath there, and he's giving you the stink eye, and he's got the balaclava on that's the little offset because of the scarring on his face and stuff. I really like that head sculpt.
So Ryan here says he's in Patrick's office right now. The Star Wars Lucasfilm license is said that Star Wars Lucas owns all the tooling and renders for the line. That I absolutely believe because Kathleen Kennedy. See you next Tuesday.
Well, and you know what? Almost every one of, I mean, they
how close are their offices?
Probably fairly close.
Where's Dwight? Are you in Dwight soon? Like,
each Black Series figure has so much new parts that they have to come up with those troop builders somehow. And so I think the clone troopers kind of saved their brand a little bit because they could mass produce using same parts because every other character has to be almost completely new parts, entirely new.
He said 10 feet apart. Hey, listen, if you can get into Dwight's office, and you get Giant Man, I will patch you in and you can be the third member and you can show us. We can be the first person to show off Giant Man before they show it to We'll blur your face out, Ryan. I mean, Dreadnought.
We don't know who you are. You're in the Everglades right now. You're not up there.
I mean, Mikey Frenchie.
Whoa.
I'm not the one that did it.
You can't touch Mr. Personality. I mean, his humor is just spot on.
I am banned from the Marvel offices thanks to Trev. Speaking of that, this was sent to me earlier by that really awful quarterback that now is an awful announcer for NFL football. I'm just going to show this really quick.
Too many concussions. You know what? I keep seeing there's two different pictures because there's another picture that's got this really strange shadow on Giant Man, and I'm like, oh, what is that? I mean, he clearly had his Viagra that day. That was amazing, Tony. That's awesome. We got to pass this one around.
Is it even showing up? Good Lord, I can't get anything to show up. Oh, it's showing up on. Okay, well, it's not showing up here. I'm like completely frozen. My thing is just sitting here. I can see it over here.
Okay, you've got the driven up the wall is up. Yeah, okay.
So Tony sent this to me. So if you missed Monday, I kind of lost it there at the end. According to Bobby B, it was exactly at the 17-minute mark of being left, of what's left of the show. The steroids are clearly still. My mouth is so effing dry right now. That's what she said. We were going to talk about this. So that's DJ Fevish brings up this giant man thing. I'm not.
You know, everybody's been talking about Giant Man for so long. They knew it was going to be the next Marvel Legends HasLab. It's like this is the only place they can go. And if the price tag is correct, if it's $199, I think that's an appropriate price tag. But at the same time, I'm like, we better be getting better than just an upscaled Marvel Legends figure. And what they did with the Ghost, I'm kind of scratching my head on a couple of things with that, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah. So I did have a few things that I thought we could talk about, since Matthew and I, we may talk about some of these things, but we never really talk about it online. So let's throw this up here. Maybe it won't freeze up for me or actually show. Okay, look, there I am.
Yeah,
driven
that meme is amazing. The wall. Okay, Legion of Memers, you got to use this. You got to take this and run with it. I'm just saying, it's going to be awesome.
I may have been a little bit. Listen, I lost my cool. Right? By that time, the steroids were flowing through me.
Well, and you were primed all night because you were holding back so much, and you were letting little pieces of it slip all night, and you were just priming yourself the whole time. The chat was driving you up, and bam, you just went for it.
Anyway,
it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. We love you, man. We love you.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you now. Listen, don't leave the stream, guys. I know it's Motu, and everyone instantly turns off, at least on Monday. So
we just lost 7 viewers.
Dropped out. They don't even have to stop. Like the moment Motu comes on, like their YouTube just like, oh, we know to cut off. So my question is, so this goes up on Mattel Creations this Tuesday for $35. So my question is, not whether or not you guys like Motu or anything. What do you like? How do you feel about the idea that Origins is no longer going to be in the in retail? So they're going to be finishing up the line over on Mattel Creations. What do you think about that idea?
You know, that kind of upsets me a little bit because I thought Motu Origins was selling fairly well at retail. I mean, Target is always stocked with them. Not always, but I mean, they do sell out. But I thought they were moving pretty good. If they're going to move it over to the, hey, you have to crowdfund this stuff to get the rest of the line, well, that kind of sucks.
Okay, so Motu will still be there. It sounds like they're going to be moving the Motu Filmation figures into stores.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So now they're going to have the Filmation painted figures actually in retail, where the Origins, supposedly this is where they're going to be finishing this up over on Mattel Creations. Which, Viper Scout, you're right. The Guru is right. Origins is leaving retail. So the Guru is technically right, and now they're coming out with a new iteration of it. The Filmation. That's what it sounds like they're going to be doing. It sounds like Masterverse will still be there. And I just wonder what your feelings is that, like, what if, like, the G.I. Joe brand comes up with something different, and they're like, you know what? We're moving this into the stores. It's no longer classified, no longer numbered. But on Hasbro Pulse, we're going to finish up the classified line. We're going to be selling them here. There's going to be a short run. How would you feel about that?
Classified is too popular for that to happen, I think.
Well,
but if they do more obscure stuff like that, I'm okay with it. The O-ring thing has always been a Pulse exclusive.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm okay with that because it is such a niche market. People aren't really, there aren't enough people that are into it, even though people talk about it a lot and they want to support Longbow and Recall and that kind of stuff because that's new stuff and that's interesting. But those same people aren't, maybe they are buying the re-release O-rings that Hasbro's putting out. I don't know that Hasbro knows what they want to do with O-ring.
Yeah.
I don't know that Mattel knows what they want to do with Origins.
It seems like they've come out with so many figures, and how many more are there? Like now they're going to move to this, Filmation, which they're hoping is going to work out. So I mean, I guess I can understand, but at the same time, it's like there's still so many Origins you could do. You could add on to the lore.
I agree. Yeah.
But the fact that they're going to continue and complete the line, I mean, I like the idea. I like the Mattel Creations idea because they're giving you figures, and I'll tell you what, the past 4 or 5 that I've ordered, I get them within a week. Like they ship out quickly. So if I get a hold of this one, I bet I'll have it by the end of next week or probably the early week before.
Yeah.
They ship out pretty quickly now. And then the other thing that they're doing is it sounds like they're voting on what you want to be the next big set. So
yeah,
first of all,
I like the voting idea.
I
don't know about that because what has happened, Viper Scout, is when they do troop builders that are Pulse exclusive, they sell out so fast and they never restock them. If you look at all the troop builder packs that they've made, they've been Pulse exclusive and they disappear fast and nobody can get them and not enough people can get them. And to have troop builders be troop builders, they need to be out there in mass quantity so people can get them. And so far that hasn't worked.
Yeah. So it looks like Mattel is going to allow you to vote on what you think should be their next big crowdfund. Or maybe it's not even a crowdfund. Maybe it's so they give you these 5 different options of what.
I like the idea of voting on them. I like the idea of voting on them. I think given the fans' input into where they go, I think is really awesome idea.
Brian, I have a personal fax number you can fax all these documentations to. Could you please just fax them to me?
But hey, what about the Dreadnought Mobile, the Thunder Machine that they're doing? I mean, they said it was dead, and then they released that.
But that's on the Transformer side.
But it's
if you look, it sells on the Transformer side.
Okay, fair. But they're still selling O-ring G.I. Joes with it.
Yes, but I think it's on the Transformer side.
Okay, that's why. Any of you Transformer guys out there want to sell me their Stalker O-ring figure, I'd be glad to buy it from you because that's the only one that I want. Is because I lost my original Stalker figure when I was a kid, and it's cheaper to buy the O-ring version than it is to buy the vintage version.
That might have been the first message you ever sent me.
It might have been. Hey, dude, if you don't want that soccer figure, I'll take it from you.
So it looks like they're putting up. This would be the Lady Slither, the one that you're gonna see tomorrow. Her little castle, because she was queen of the Snake Men. You can say what you want. I can see people are leaving. They don't like Motu. Listen, they've done a wonderful job with the playsets.
And quite honestly, some of those play sets are amazing, and I wouldn't mind them for my Conan figures. But
Yeah, and they're playable. That's the whole
yeah,
thing.
they are. Yeah,
You know,
that makes a big difference.
so they have this, which I can't imagine it would be any bigger than Castle Grayskull. I mean, I've seen the pictures of Snake Mountain, and I'm like, I don't have room for it.
Well, so it looks like it has that folding point right down the side there, the tower,
Yep.
between the tower and the door. So it looks almost exactly like Castle Grayskull.
Yep.
Yeah, with the handle and everything.
Brian. I bet she was queen of the snake men.
Well, everybody's going to use that snake tail and that little modifier there to make their own Galabulus figure, right? I mean, back to G.I. Joe, right?
That was the first thing I thought. And then you have this, the Hordak tank. I tend to remember this for some reason. Was it in She-Ra or was it in He-Man?
No, it had to have been in She-Ra because Hordak really wasn't in He-Man. He was only in the She-Ra show. And
that's right.
The comic book, the DC Comics version of He-Man was awesome because it really told a good backstory on how the whole universe was set up and how the Hordak was the big man in charge and Skeletor is one of his minions that he sent out there. I really love that comic book series. It's really good.
Viper Scout, let me explain something to you. We have a digital, I have a personal digital fax number for work because our copy machines, some of them still have faxes and we have to test faxes. I cannot believe that archaic technology still exists, but the government will not let it go away. Yet the government is ripping out copper wire, which is the only way that it's supposed to work properly.
In the medical field, we still use faxes as well.
Yes,
because doctors still fax documents over to us every day.
Yep. You and lawyers are awful.
Yep.
And once faxes go away, how will we know what senior is going to go to what school for football? Because they have to fax over their letter of, whatever it is, letter of, I don't know. So you can vote on this tank, which I think looks pretty cool, other than it has Hordak's face on it.
Radical Toys, you voted for the attack track.
Thank you.
Did you mean the Havoc, the G.I. Joe Havoc?
That's the mystery machine to you. It is so much like the Havoc.
With those colors, it looks like the Mystery Machine. Yes. Yeah,
but it is so much like the Havoc. Now that you pointed out, it even has the little pod in the back coming out.
Yep.
I didn't see Havoc till you pointed it out. But that's because when I think of the attack track, I think of how the treads flip over. This is the one that I thought that this was awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Letter of intent. Big Bacon knows it because all the people have to. He's an Ohio State fan, so he knows that all those commits have to have someone else fax it over because they don't know how to take numbers. I like this, and I tend to remember this in the TV show too.
Yeah,
but it definitely is not what it wasn't. The toy. It was not the toy at all. Because I love the toy because it flipped. It was so ridiculous at the time.
It was like a Bones one.
We got to stop. The Lions actually won 21-20 against the Super Bowl champions, and I won like $16 because I bet $5 that they'd win because I'm like, hell, what the hell.
Now, who is it? Is it Ramen Toys? No, it's Mondo. Mondo's making the skeleton bones carrier. I had that as a kid, where you put all your He-Man figures on it and carried around the little dinosaur thing.
Yes, yeah. Ramen's making that. They had that there.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. They won by 1 point.
Hey, the Lions have wins every now and then.
Hey, you know what? Like I said, I bet $5 they would win because it was only $5, and I'm like, you got to take some gambles to win.
They beat Tony Romo in the playoffs.
No, they didn't.
Well, they beat the Cowboys one time in the playoffs.
No. They've only had one.
One playoff win.
Was it 91? 91 was their only playoff win since 1957. Listen, now, okay, Viper Scout, this is not true. They were the first team to go 0-16. The Browns did it a couple years ago. But they were the first, and it was a glorious year. It was a glorious year. Was it Dallas? Okay.
I told you it was Dallas.
I was riding my skateboard then, so I didn't care.
Yeah, they beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be the two teams of the 90s. So here's the one thing that I can say about this for sure. So here are the last two. Here's the Hordak thing. This is the Horde Pit, I believe, which they actually made this. The one thing that you can bet, whichever one of these get made, the other 4 ramen will make.
This one's my favorite. This is the one that I would love them to make because I would want this for my Conan figures, but whatever. I think that's a cool looking playset.
That could work with your Mythic Legions.
Yeah, definitely.
Cosmic Legions. I mean, since there's no lore for Cosmic Legions, you don't know anything. I mean, this could work in so many things.
So Lawrence, the winningest coach in Lions history was Wayne Fontes, and he won 66 he won 66 games, lost 67 games.
He's also the losingest coach too. The winningest coach and the losingest coach.
Oh, that's amazing.
And when he got fired, he has the classic line of, "What do you mean I'm fired?" That guy did not care, man. That guy was so done by that point. All right. So I was just wondering what your feeling is to do these crowdfunders. I think it's a good idea. Let the fans vote.
I do too. I think it's a great idea. I think you get enough community involvement in it, and then you can make a decision based off of that, and then you can really promote it as, hey, we've engaged the community, number one. Number two, we're listening to the community. And then you can put forth a product that they want to see and they want to get their hands on. And I think all those are great options. My favorite was the second to last one there. I think this one's pretty cool looking too. But,
this is perfect for Cosmic Legions. You can use it for other things. But again,
exactly.
It also you also could look at it, and let's say you have 5 up there, and you look and it's like, these 2 really didn't do anything, but these other 3 really neck and neck. Maybe we can eventually make all 3 of them.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I did want to talk about the HasLab that just ended. It seems like Hasbro is going to do, the moment a HasLab ends, they're going to start a new one. I mean, this is going to create fatigue.
It's better than having 3 going on at the same time.
Well, yeah. But it seems like everyone knew that other than Hasbro.
It's what happens when brands don't communicate.
And to be honest, I don't even look at when they did that, the Proton Pack. I don't even like to consider that because that was a whole different deal. That's a whole different type of collector that was collecting that. But there is a lot of crossover between G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Marvel. It's just really stupid. And obviously the Ghost went up. The Ghost went up 2 days after the Dragonfly ended.
Yeah.
And the next HasLab will go up 2 days after this. So yeah, they're really not wasting any time. So first off, I'm very proud of this meme. You guys are all allowed to steal it because I have my name prominently on it. Listen, and I had a dispute in a group text or a group Instagram chat that I'm in, where Oz said he disagreed that I thought this was really shitty. That they said if we hit the 17,000 backers, we'll give you the option to buy the last crew members.
The option to buy.
Yes,
it should be included.
They're like, we knew that you guys were upset that you didn't have the last crew members and that you couldn't create the mural that we were trying to create in the artwork. And we don't want to raise it and add another tier. So if you hit the 17,000, we're going to give you the option to buy the last 2 crew members.
Yeah,
so for $500, they gave you the option to buy the last 2. I'm sorry. I think that's bullshit. I think that's just dirty. That's not how you're supposed to treat that's not how you treat these people. They just made $500. Exactly. And I'm not sure that if you get free shipping with this, if you have the
Pulse premium,
I don't see why you wouldn't, but people have mentioned how like you're not getting free shipping. But I know with the Dragonfly and the Hiss and the Sky Striker, I got free shipping.
Yeah, if it's a HasLab coming from Hasbro, you should get free shipping if you have premium. That right
there saves your money on if you back that Hiss and the Dragonfly.
No kidding, that box is going to be massive.
That's going to be $50 to ship right there, man.
Yeah.
Ryan, can you give me a picture of the Hiss tank box while you're in the office? And once again, I am proving that Ryan Sweeney here does not go to bed as early as he acted like he did. I think he was just trying to. He was just trying to get out of a toy kind of mood. So he's like, I got to go to bed real early.
Shh, don't say their name. You might summon him.
I've been Viper Sandbar.
I just saw notice. I just got notice the Frush skeletons finally hit the warehouse. And so they're going to be sorting and shipping those out soon. They were supposed to be shipped out in January. Anyway. So now you guys can support their other endeavor with the Ninja Scroll stuff. People are giving me heat on that because I made a comment that there's no way I'm going to support another product from you when you haven't fulfilled the last one. Sorry, not sorry.
So I would say you agree with me that this isn't the proper way to do the HasLab, right?
No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty terrible idea to, either include it, say, hey, if we hit this goal, we're going to include these last 2 or whatever. I understand they've got budgets and all that other stuff. I think it may be a little overpriced, but I don't know.
Yeah, or make another tier and say, hey, you know what? We're so close, but again, how do you forget that you missed 2 of the crew members?
Well, I mean, have you seen the carelessness in the world today? People just don't give a shit anymore. And so the editors that edit comic books and edit script that goes out on legal documentation and people that edit anything these days, they don't fucking pay attention to anything. Mark Webber was bullshitting about this on What's on Joe Mind the other day. It's like these people just don't give a shit.
Yeah. So again, I just feel like they didn't learn from the Rancor. How do you give the Rancor not the Rancor Keeper?
Right. No kidding. I mean, seriously.
And then on the last day, you just throw it out there like, oh, you don't even have a digital render. Like someone couldn't run in and draw one up really quick. You just put a picture of the actor from Return of the Jedi. But I could do that too.
Could you find a screen capture of that, or would you have to take a photograph of the screen?
And then we get to what comes out tomorrow, and I'm interested to see this. Listen, I have no interest in it because I don't really collect Marvel Legends, but I'm always interested to see what they're going to put out. Same with the Star Wars team, unless it's a lightsaber, which made no sense. And again, that was clearly a Disney, like, you need to do this, and no one could talk them out of, like, yeah, bad idea.
I don't know how anybody thought crowdfunding a lightsaber was the best idea. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense at all on any level.
For a character you didn't know.
Right.
For a lightsaber that looked like all the other Inquisitor lightsabers.
Exactly.
And you didn't make it spin. Had you made it spin, that thing would have funded.
You know what? I bet you it would have, because everybody wants to be a helicopter lightsaber pilot, right?
Yes.
I dare Dave Filoni to do that in live action. I dare you. Come on, man. You got to do it.
Well, the smoke is gone, so.
Well, the smoke monster has left the building.
So Down South says, I like to see a G.I. Joe headquarters or Cobra Temple HasLab with Cat's Lair being a thing now. I wonder if they ever go that big.
I don't know how long you've been into the G.I. Joe community down South 7, but there was a guy who made this amazing mock-up of the Cobra Temple and sold it to a bunch of people and never delivered. So yes, it would be amazing if they did a HasLab of that. Mark Weber's even talked about this too. He said, the G.I. Joe original headquarters is modular enough and is bare bones enough that it would be an easy HasLab to do. It wouldn't be too expensive and easy to put together, and it would be a smart decision if they did the portable command center from G.I. Joe, or in my opinion, I would love to see a Silent Castle. If they did a Silent Castle, I would have to do anything I could to get a hold of that one.
Well, my idea was, and this would be very expensive, and some people kind of rolled their eyes, but I said, and then other people said, "This is brilliant." I think it's brilliant. Is you do a
of course you would.
Yes, you do a Cobra Terradrome HasLab, but only half of it. That way, you can push it against the wall. It'd be classified size, so you could push it against your wall, and you could get everything, and you come with the fire bat. But if you bought two of them, it's made to connect together. So you'd end up with two fire bats that could actually go down in the housing. You know what I mean? So this way, like you say, well, I can't fit a whole HasLab, but I could find a way to fit it onto a shelf or onto a table, push it against my wall. It's open enough that you can see into it. But if I want it for my centerpiece of my Joe room, I buy two of them. Now, it's be pricey, but it's made to connect together.
And I love that idea of making modular sets, and I think that's what Ramen Toys is trying to do with their sewer play set that they're trying to do.
They're non-turtle sewer layer.
It's just a sewer, man. I mean, you can't copyright a sewer. It's just a street and a sewer, and you can put whatever you want in there. You've got mutants that could be down in there. You've got that whole crew of mutants that lives under there. And that's why PNC is talking about the NECA one. And man, that thing's overpriced. And God bless you if you want it, but I'm going to go with the Ramen Toys one if it's even possible.
So down south, what I have to say about this: did you see the Cat's Lair in person?
That's huge.
Listen, as a person who is not a Super 7 fan, I think I made that perfectly clear. And as a person who has the aircraft carrier, and I had it as a kid, so it was even bigger as a kid. When I came around the corner and I saw that Cat's Lair, It is so much bigger in person. Like the pictures do not do it justice how big it is. So if you spend $700 or $750 on it, right? Because it's $650. How much is it? It's fixed $650. But you have to pay shipping, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So no matter it's $100 shipping. So no matter how you look at it.
Thought you get a kick out of that.
I'll say this: if you get what they showed for the cat slayer, you get your money's worth. My biggest fear is that what they will send, is not what they show, and you'll go, well, but it's still there. I mean, it's just not the same. Like, yeah, it doesn't light up like it was supposed to, but it's still there.
There's going to be a lot of corners cut, and I mean, knowing what we know about that guy, I don't know if what was presented is what's given. Yes, it's totally worth it.
Yes,
I don't think that's going to happen though.
That would be my biggest fear. Now, a lot of people have also pointed out that Super 7 is wonderful when it comes to their play sets. So, I mean, I could end up being wrong. I would have my fear for a $700+ toy. And here's the other thing that people don't realize when it comes to the Cat Slayer. I know people have talked about pushing it against the wall. It is a centerpiece. You want to be able to see in and out. I hate when people have the flag and it is pushed up against the wall and you can't see inside the superstructure. It takes away from it.
It does. It does. It really does. Viper Scout, we don't know what they're charging for what yet. And that's the problem. They put out a digital render, and I don't know if that's the 180 digital render or if that is half of what the, if it's 180 for half of that. So we don't know what they're doing yet. They're just in the design phase right now. And it won't be another month and a half before they start releasing the pre-order windows for it. And the price will go down based on how many people order. So it could be as low as 150. And we don't know. There's a lot we don't know about the Ramen project yet. So to me, it's already starting at less than half the price of the NECA version and providing more plastic, more options in terms of that. So I already think the Ramen Toys one is a better value if they can produce what they say they're going to produce.
Yeah. I mean, the Ramen one looks nice, but we don't
Well, we haven't seen anything yet. Those are just digitals. So,
and a few people have they specifically, they've actually talked to Ace. I've talked to people that have said, I've actually talked to Ace, like, hey, I don't like your idea of just like when does the bottom fall out on us? There was one guy that, I know exactly who it is. I remember talking. I'm not going to say his name, but he said, he goes, we had to talk about it. And I was like, you're taking Facebook payments. Like, that's how you were taking your original Facebook payments. I have an issue with that because I don't know. Are you actually going to come through with this? The Ramen needs to get product out there. That's just it, Ryan. I don't know what Ramen has actually shipped. They need to have product out there that we can see, hold in hand, play with, mess around with. I think maybe the Silverhawks, right?
I've heard mixed reviews on their Silverhawks as well. Some people
got them out there, right?
Yeah. Some people love them, some people don't. I don't know how many of them they got out there.
Yeah, so again,
I know that there's been mixed reviews on their Centurions as well. Some people love them, some people say they're garbage. And so it's a matter of opinion. When you're paying that much for a product, I wasn't willing to back their Maverick figures before they weren't Maverick figures anymore because they got sued out of that one. And how many more times is that going to happen? I mean, they're trying to make Motu stuff now, and they're going to be competing directly against Mondo, who has an actual license.
So Viper says Ramen shipped some Centurions and the Going So have those actually started to ship?
So yeah, I've seen some pictures of people getting the Goldwing in hand, and it looks pretty good.
Okay.
But they
It-
were shut down, so they had already shipped out some of them before they were shut down by Hasbro, because Hasbro did come after them for the
did you?
likeness and all that kind of stuff.
But did you hear what they made them do?
No.
So they were going to tampo everything on the Go Wing. That was one of the things they had to remove. That's why there's stickers now. That's what someone was
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
That they were going to tampo it, and that was one of the things that Hasbro allowed them to do it if they didn't put, if they could send the stickers because they're freebies.
Right.
They're probably,
Well, that's what they're doing with Maverick too, right? It's a free alternate head if you do this or that or the other. So it's not Tom Cruise.
But did you hear what I said? I didn't realize this. Like, did you realize what the head is that's on the Maverick figure? So the figure that's supposed to be Maverick,
yeah,
is the head.
Oh, it is supposed to be on.
It's the Falcon head,
right? Yeah, Falcon head.
So that's really smart. I mean, you're basically saying, all right, if you would have bought these three at PowerCon, we're going to give you this because it's a freebie.
Right.
But you're still going to have this extra head, but this head can be used on Falcon, and you're like, oh, that does look like Falcon.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we all want, like, anytime you pop a head off, you're like, oh, what can I do with this head? Everyone just wants to pop the Falcon head off and be like, I never want to see you again.
Yep.
We're going to build a little Davy Jones chest for you, lock you in there, drop you at the bottom of the ocean.
I may put it on my Green Goblin and say that it's a Willem Dafoe head or something. I don't know.
Did you see that? I'm not really talking giant man. I could probably remove this. There was someone on one of the G.I. Joe Facebook groups, and he painted a mustache on him. And he's like, I saw someone else painted on it, and I hate this head anyway, so I figured I'd do it. And he's like, I actually kind of like it. And I'm looking at it like, it doesn't look that bad. But I just painted the mustache. I'm like, it actually looks much better. It was bad. Like, man, God, that head. The digital render looks so good.
It looks so much better than what actually came out.
Yeah.
And I used a Peter Parker head on my Falcon. That's what I have right now. The comic book Peter Parker head, and I like that.
And everyone used the blowback head, which was perfect. My only issue is that blowback is just such a good figure that I don't, I don't want to take away from that blowback.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is such a good figure.
That's why I used my spare Peter Parker head instead of his, because I did think the blowback looked pretty good too.
Yeah, and that's what so many people used. And I think Tony used Dusty's head after you remove the face paint, and it looks like it's a completely separate figure. Like, you can't even tell it's the same face sculpt.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of really anything Sigma 6.
Oh, come on,
but
man.
if you put it in classified, it was not my. But if you put it in classified, you'd be changing things. So it'd be interesting to see how it comes out. Listen, I'd be stoked to see. I mean, I not that I like the movies, I'd be happy to see some of the G.I. Joe movies made into classified figures.
Honestly, the Retaliation Snake Eyes, I think, is a really awesome design.
Yeah.
I think Ray Park had something to do with some of that design, but I think that figure and that design is awesome, and that's why I have the 4-inch version of it. And if they did it in classified, I'd be like, oh yeah, dude, I want to get that. It's way better than the Snake Eyes movie version.
Oh yeah. A Baroness classified from the movie. I mean, say what you want. She was an awesome Baroness.
She was. No, I mean, there's a lot of good choices there, because I think Chris Eccleston was a perfect choice for Destro. He's got other issues aside from that, but I think that if they had gone forward, I wish that they had used him as Destro again. But
Yeah, had they not injected his face with.
oh yeah, that was dumb. But whatever, nanites. I mean, come on.
So
If you break it down and think about it, Stephen Summers is not a top tier director in my opinion, and he made a cartoon movie. And if you look at the CGI, it's clearly a cartoon movie. And so he took pieces from the 80s cartoon and the Sigma 6 cartoon, because those accelerator suits are straight from Sigma 6.
And they tied directly into Beast Wars.
If you say so.
Did you see Beast Wars?
Well, yeah. Well, if you go back to like Headmasters and stuff like that, which was really freaking creepy, but yeah, I could see it.
But that suit is kind of what he wears.
Okay.
That movie is bad. If you guys see Beast Wars, that movie's bad.
I watched the TV show when it came out, and I wasn't that interested in it because it was rough CGI. It was so rough that I didn't really care for it that much. But I did like Transformers Prime. I thought Transformers Prime was really good.
Yes. That was a really good series. Brendan Fraser was not Flint. Right? He was just
no in the movie. Guy. No. In the movie that Brendan Fraser had that little piece in there, he was Sergeant Stone. So Sergeant Stone is from Sigma 6, and so that's a completely different character.
Yeah. No, I mean, Brendan Fraser's done some pretty good stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the peak Brendan Fraser was The Mummy for me, and apparently he did a really good job with The Whale, but I'm not going to watch that movie, so that's off the table.
I have to say that what was the DC show that he's
Doom Patrol. I loved that show.
Yes.
That show was exactly like the comic book, and it was quirky and it was irreverent and it was batshit crazy. It was so much fun.
I know nothing about Doom Patrol, but I watched that series and I was really impressed with it. And you know what? If you want to compare Monster Force to something, Doom Patrol is the perfect Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Like the whole Brendan Fraser, like the character that he is. I mean, it's just so unique. There's just so many things, and again, I liked Titans. I know it's dark. Yeah. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I really like Titans. I actually ordered, what was it called? DC. What was it originally called? DC something.
It was DCU. It was just the DC universe.
No, but it aired
the
on
the app was called the DC Universe app.
Okay.
And that's how I originally watched some of these shows, and I thought it was a great idea. I wish more people had picked up on what they were doing, but I'm glad they moved all that stuff over to HBO Max or Max or whatever.
Yeah, well, I agree with that.
And because Doom Patrol was literally my favorite show, I did not care for Titans. The last season of Titans I thought was so much better than what they had done before, but what they did to Dick Grayson I didn't really like, because that wasn't really Dick Grayson, but that's a whole other thing. Somebody mentioned this. Resolute would be amazing in classified. Toy Box Customs makes this Snake Eyes head that I put on my Snake Eyes Timber 2-pack with the Combat Boots one. This is an awesome Resolute Snake Eyes. Just saying.
George of the Jungle PNC says it's really
totally epic. Brendan Fraser piece. Yeah, totally awesome. No, Doom Patrol was awesome. I did really enjoy that for so many reasons. It's not for everybody. It's really bizarre. And you have to get used to the idea, some of the strange concepts they put in there, like a conscious street named Danny, which is, I think that was a really interesting character.
Yeah.
Encino Man was also awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Ryan. We know why the Joe movies suck. We're not newbies to this. Like, you know what? I just wish that they. I'm not a fan of Starfire's characterization in Titans.
You know what? I kind of agree with you. She's nothing like Starfire from the comics, and I appreciate that because I understand the comic book version is different. But I did think the last season of Titans made things a lot better than they had been, because the first couple seasons were just so off to me. But
yeah, I like Doom Patrol. And I knew nothing about it. I just found it really interesting. And I like Titans. I didn't like the Bruce Wayne that they brought in. I just looked at him like...
I love that actor. I think that actor is awesome. But the way he played Bruce Wayne, nah.
I mean, Bruce Wayne needs to have a look. And he needs... I mean, again, this is very hypocritical of me because I think that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. And then when you look at him, you're like, you're not really big. But when I see like that guy portraying Batman, I expect to see wide shoulders, especially with that voice that he has. You know, I expect to see. That's why, like,
Ben Affleck, I think, did the best job as Batman. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good script to play Batman, but his physicality that he put into that character was amazing. And before the reshoots for Justice League, when he got Fat Fleck, when he was actually ripped under the Snyder version, when he was like doing that stuff, he was freaking Batman, and he could play Bruce Wayne and Batman. And I thought he did a great job for what he was given. And I wish he could have done more.
And I think most people have said the same thing. Like, it's not hard for people to play Batman. It's hard for people to play Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And I fully agree with that. I think anyone could put the suit on, but I really do believe, like, for an actor to portray Bruce Wayne, it really has to come from the point of view of Batman, where a lot of people don't realize this, that Batman sees Bruce Wayne as his alter ego.
Yep.
Not the other way around. He believes like he is Batman, but his suit is when he becomes Bruce Wayne. Where obviously Superman puts on the Clark, Superman
is Clark Kent. Yeah, Superman's the alternate ego. Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm Batman.
I think that's a great dichotomy of those two characters. And unfortunately, I don't know. I mean, the first 2/3 of The Batman was a good movie, and it's because it dove into him becoming a detective. Nobody's ever actually presented Batman as the detective. And that's the one Batman movie that I really, really want to see is Batman versus the Demon's Head. You know, when he's going up against Ra's al Ghul and they're battling wits, and he's the detective versus this ancient guy who's been around for forever. And in terms of saving Gotham or whatever it is, I think that would be the Batman story that I would love the most to see on film.
Yeah, there's so many good Batman. I mean, so many good ones. And again, even Batman 89, they delve into him being a detective when he was figuring out what was causing these deaths.
It was pretty superficial. I love Batman 89, but I love Batman Returns more. I think that movie dove into the dark side of Batman even more.
I don't like that movie. I've never liked it. It's weird because that I actually went to see that movie with my high school girlfriend, and I didn't like it. And I remember trying to watch it again, and even later on in life, when people have raved about it, I've tried watching it. I'm like, I just don't like this movie. But there is seriously one of my favorite skateboard companies, favorite brands. Like their second video, I hate it. And I don't know why. I hated it from the moment it came out in like 93 or 94. And in the past few years, I've tried to watch it again. And I start watching it. The tricks are amazing. The music's fine. I'm like, I hate this. I don't know why. I don't know if it takes me to some place I didn't want to be, but that's how I feel with Batman Returns. I sit down, I see the penguin. I hate how the penguin looks.
I totally disagree with you, PNC. I'm sorry. I totally disagree with you on that one. I think
that is why you're my favorite channel member.
I think that's the closest to Batman that we've ever gotten on screen, besides Ben Affleck's version, because he was more of a detective. It was a darker, grittier story. They dove deep into the lore of Batman. They put a couple things in there. They had the humor. And I thought Tim Burton's aesthetic was awesome. Batman Returns is something that I enjoyed a lot.
So, but here's the thing about Batman.
But
here's the thing about Batman Returns. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just saw someone show a clip of George Clooney as Batman, and I'm like, how is this ever a good idea? Like, who looked at this and said, now this is a good idea?
You know, the only thing that I remember, like, really about that movie was a statement that George Clooney made at the time of the movie when it was coming out, and how he had to have the codpiece modified from Val Kilmer's suit because it was too small.
Yeah.
And so everybody joked about Clooney's club is what made the difference in the movie, right? It got in the way of the whole movie.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. I actually do have to get up early tomorrow, and my daughter, as you know, has something that I need to look at because she couldn't do it earlier.
When everybody has time to do it.
Yeah.
1 minute before the show starts. Hey, Dad, can you sign this?
Literally 1 minute. I said, I told you we're starting a show at. I told you we're starting a show at 10. She says, "What time is it?" 9:59. See, you have time. But you can hear it in her voice, like she is just so like. She just has that attitude, but it's not like you like, you know.
Here's a question for you.
This is an easy one. Hawk. Hosoi is. I don't like Hosoi. He refused to accept responsibility for his drug actions and why he spent 10 years in prison. And honestly, Hawk is the greatest skateboarder of all time. I know people don't like him because of his robotic style. He is the greatest. He was winning contests well into his 40s, and not just because of what his name was, but because he was still doing tricks that other people couldn't do.
He was always engaged in the community. He was always doing stuff. He was always ever present. He was a well-known figure of the skating community. Everybody knows who Tony Hawk is. I don't think that you can ever beat who Tony Hawk was.
No. Yeah. When people try and tell me that there's like Rodney Mullen is more influential, I'm like, okay, and street, yes, but like Tony Hawk, not only did he invent so many tricks on vert, he made skateboarding mainstream. You can't say there's another more influential skateboarder. It's like saying there's a more influential basketball player than Michael Jordan. I'm sorry, there isn't.
You can't.
There are other ones that were influential, other ones you may like other ones better, but this guy is still selling shoes 20 years after he's retired.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, Tony Hawk is he's the household name, right?
Yes.
That got people into the industry or promoted the industry so that the people that were in it could get excited about it again, more than just about anybody else that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one skateboarder that everyone knows, it's Tony Hawk.
Yep.
You know, and I even had arguments with some of the younger guys that are trying to tell me younger versus skaters are better. I'm like, no, like he was still competing and beating them well
When he
into
was
his
40.
40s. And even now, after he
Yeah.
broke his femur last year, he's still ripping. You know, yeah, he's never going to be as good as the younger guys are. But the fact that he went for that long.
Yep.
Okay. Let's wrap it up on that because I could talk skateboarding until I have to go to work.
Hey,
so anyway,
thanks for everybody for coming in. We really appreciate you chatting with us and engaging with us. We tried to get as many of your chats as we could to see them. We really appreciate your support. We'll get back to the movies as soon as we can. But yeah, check us out.
And we are going to continue to do that. So, but anyway, Monday night Toy Ramblings. I will be back alone for 3 hours. I won't be bitching about other YouTubers. And next Thursday, I will have Action Figs on. So that is my Thursday with a friend. So again, thank you guys all for joining and just chatting with us. We will look forward to seeing you next time. Let me find
Thanks, everybody.
here to get out of here.
Have a good night. Thanks, Jim.
Here we go.